2 days in a row I'm posting. That's like quite an accomplishment for me. Okay, so today I want to focus on the importance of discernment when it comes to getting some sort of third-party clarity, which serves as an interference when it comes to anything in life that you're going through, okay? And by that, I don't mean people, but people as well. But it's all energy, ultimately. And the people that you reach out to are additional energies that you're putting and bringing into your situation. But specifically, I'm talking about tarot readings, online readings, apps with readings, psychics, any sort of clarity that you seek elsewhere outside of yourself is, at the end of the day, tainted by something. Because the only way that you can receive pure information, I believe personally, is through you and your intuition and how you feel, the gut feelings that you have. And yes, sometimes we're more tuned in than other times. Some people are more tuned in than others. Now, the thing about me is I'm starting this channel as a place of clarity, as a place of peace, as a place of purity, I guess, right? I would like to be more helpful to the people who need me. I don't have degrees in therapy. It's not something that I'm interested in even, but I am very empathic. I do feel things. I feel energies. The only person that I would do cards for would be myself. And I know it's a thing where some people are like, you can't read for yourself, but I feel that tarot and even playing cards depends. Like, I have Russian roots, so there's a lot of like cartomancy where I come from, palm reading and stuff like that. Less tarot. But they are greatly affected by energy in the room, energy of the person doing it. And so they're all beautiful tools, right? And when you use them on yourself, they could serve as beautiful guidance for you that you hold yourself responsible and accountable for. When it comes to asking other people or listening to other people, there has to be a great deal of discernment, and I'm going to explain why. It's not that they're wrong. It's not that they're bad. That's not what I'm saying. They're beautiful tools, and they've been used for, I don't know, centuries, thousands of years. I'm not even sure. But some sort of like prediction, oracles, that's always been in place. And yes, they have been correct. And there's many times in your life that you might have had readings or went to psychics and they are correct. However, what you have to understand is that my personal belief and things that actually what I've lived through is when you arrive to get a reading, or when you go and you scroll on YouTube for readings, for your sign, for your collective, for the things, which I do as well. And there's readers that I really love listening to. But there has to be a sense of, okay, I am this, I'm going through this, I might hear something that might resonate, I'm going to do what I can with it without expectation. It's just like, it really is a form of entertainment, right? Sometimes they're very relaxing. Like if I'm going about my day and I just need like a ritual, I just need something to focus on, focus my mind away from whatever it is that I'm going through, be it just daily stuff, right? Stress, anything like that. It's very relaxing. And sometimes it actually puts you in a place where you have better intuition about what steps to take and how to deal with your emotions and stuff like that. However, I've experienced that when we look for these things, we're generally trying to find answers for things that are not obvious to us. We're trying to find answers about people who are not showing up for us the way that they should be. We're trying to find answers about people that ghosted, about people who left, about people who gave no clarity, about people who we feel drawn to but show us no kind of emotion or connection or whatever. And when we look for answers outside of ourselves, outside of the clarity that we are capable of providing for ourselves, to ourselves, we're shaping our future, you know? And many people who take part in any sort of reading anywhere, they don't know you personally. They don't know the person personally. They don't know the situation. And so you're basically relying on somebody's interpretation of something, right? And when they do confirm things for you, you're like, light bulbs going off, this is it, okay? But their confirmation of an outcome, their confirmation of how things are going to play out, sometimes might not be for your best interest. And that's why I say you need to use your own discernment. And they all say that. I have nothing against the people who do the readings. They all say that. But the problem is that we don't follow the rules, you know. And I know that because I do that too. And so there must be others. And I found myself going down a whole rabbit hole to where you listen to readings on YouTube because they're free. And then you start, and you're like, oh my God, I'm hearing what I want to hear. And you're like, ding, 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 ding. And then you go on an app, or you go on an online psychic, or you go to a real psychic, right? Or you do cards, or someone else does cards for you that you know. And then it's like, and then you rely on their information. And their information could be misread. It could be completely false, and they just want to tell you they want the money and they want to tell you what you want to hear. I'm not saying they all do that, but it's possible. It's possible. And the other ones are giving their honest answer. But again, it's just a version of what potentially could happen. Because yes, there is 100% freedom of choice. And what I've experienced in my life, and I'm in my mid-30s. Am I high? I don't know. I'm 37. So I've been through some shit. And what I've come to realize is that everyone that we look for answers for, if they tell us what we don't want to hear, we don't believe it. Some of us. And if we do believe it, we try to change it. And if we try to change it, what they said basically no longer applies, right? And sometimes they do tell you what's in your best interest, and you still go forward because your journey is your journey and it's your path. And however you're wired and whatever you feel, you have to own those things. They're 100% real, you know? Even when you feel like you're delusional, and you try to find every single confirmation for yourself, right? You have the beauty of love in your heart, and you have those feelings for somebody, right? And you just have to judge how those people are showing up for you and take that as guidance. Not the cards, not the readings. Take the guidance that you have within you. Own your feelings, understand your feelings, but only act accordingly to how the other person treats you and makes you feel. When we look for answers elsewhere, sometimes we get what we want. And when we get what we want, everything, bells are ringing, it's all beautiful, the cards were right, he came back, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward, years later, you be praying to get rid of that person. Not get rid of them, I just mean like have them not in your life. You backtrack and think about all the times that you obsessed over an outcome with a particular person, right? That the universe was clearly showing you they weren't for you, right? Or they weren't in your best interest at that time. Sometimes we feel connections, like I said in my previous video. Watch it if you want. Sometimes we feel connections, right? Very strong pulls, magnetic pulls that you cannot get yourself out of. And I know what that feels like. And then you try to explain it to yourself, right? You literally feel delusional. You feel like you're losing your mind. Like, why do I feel this way about this particular person? And this could happen at any age. This could happen under any circumstance. This could make no sense to you whatsoever. It could be somebody that you normally wouldn't like. I believe that those connections are real. I believe that there's a genuine reason for that. But the problem is that unless that person shows up for you the way that they need to show up for you, unless they're consistent, unless they're showing you love, clarity, that you don't have to go to cards, you don't have to go to pendulums, you don't have to go to third parties to tell you the answer because you feel it. You feel good about it. They're not in the right mindset for you. And what you have to do is separate yourself from the situation, separate yourself from the person, and allow them the time that it takes to come back to you, if they're meant to come back to you. Because if the connection is truly what it is and not just another lesson that we have thousands of in our lifetime, then that person will come back in a way that you need, because you're not meant to sit there in situations where you have a lifetime full of pain, trauma, neglect, abuse, because you're star-crossed lovers. Some of us choose to be that. We find art in it. We find romance in it. We find delusion in it. We think that it's, twin flame, twin whatever. The truth is, none of us really know what anything is until we're out of here. And when we're out of here, it's too late. And we already lived a life, But what I've experienced is that when we are so pulled towards someone, you can't lose yourself in it. You can't spend thousands of dollars, which the whole culture of everything is to get money off of you. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter whether it's, it's anything, any kind of marketing, any kind of branding, anything. Everyone needs money from you because they need to survive. That's how our society is built. And so it's not anything bad about it. Like, I bless everybody, and they do the best that they can. But you have to use discernment, you know what I mean? You can't spend $6,000 on going to readings and cleansings and all these things when that might not just be for you. And one of the worst things that you could do is try to alter energy in a way that isn't balanced, in a way that isn't natural. When you change your vibration, when you change how you perform, how you behave yourself, who you are as a person, when you fix your posture, I know I have to remind myself, hold your head up, put your jewelry on, do your hair, do your makeup, whatever you got to do to, I'm talking to whoever does that. Or if you're a gentleman, you put on a nice outfit, you get your hair cut, you take care of your, facial hair, you look 100%. It's not about looking expensive. It's not about doing anything extra. It's about the putting in the effort to feel like $1 million. It doesn't take much. When you go through that, you raise your vibration, you raise your energy. That is 100% real. Energy is 100% real. But when you do that, the other people respond to you differently. They're no longer allowing themselves to behave in certain ways because it's no longer accepted. And so when you raise your vibration, you yourself change the outcomes of things. And what somebody told you 2 weeks ago, but you go through this glow up, that's no longer real. Put that off to the side. And so we can't get so attached to outcomes, because everything we go through is a path, a journey that we're on. Some people are lessons. Sometimes we're so pulled just to learn to realize what we're worth. And that whatever we're being pulled to, unless they're there to receive it, we can't continue to go down the rabbit hole, And yes, the most beautiful art, the most beautiful poetry, the most beautiful movements, I would say, were created on some sort of feeling of love and pain together, right? But ideally, that's not something that we should strive to our entire life. At some point you want peace. At some point you want to know that the person that you have these feelings for loves you back. At some point you don't want to keep checking and spending money on readings, on things about how somebody actually feels about you. That might be how they feel about you, but it doesn't really matter. Say you get your psychic readings and you're like, this person doesn't show you anything, but he's crazy about you. Okay, and? Is that really the person in that vibration, however they are? Is that really who you want to be with right now? You know what I mean? Because you there's instances in your life where you really need somebody, right? You need somebody to talk to. You need somebody to be next to. You need an energy to just make you feel good, make you feel at home, make you feel at peace. When you call them, you know that they're going to answer. When you call them, you know that they're going to respond and come. What does it matter if somebody's crazy about you, but they don't pick up the phone? They run away from you. They ghost. They do all sorts of borderline cruel, mean ways of acting. Whatever it is that they're dealing with that makes them behave in that way, let them deal with it. But that's not what you deserve to receive. And so regardless of their feelings are their feelings. And you can love people from afar. You can have this beautiful unconditional, that's what unconditional love is. There's people in my life who I couldn't be with anymore, right? Because they didn't show up, because they neglected, because they abused, because this is family, romance, anything. Because they were absent, because they didn't behave in a way that was loving, the same way that the love that I gave, right? I can love those people, but I have to have enough love for myself to allow them to be in their energy over there. Over there. I love them, but they got to stay over there. And that's the importance of discernment. And when you use all sorts of interferences, spells, all sorts of things, I don't do that. I don't do that, and I'm very much against that, because I come from pagan culture. I'm not going to dive into it. I come from pagan culture. In pagan, my culture is really funny. People are ultra religious sometimes, but then they'll dabble in all sorts of things, right? Which is anti what you believe in. Because if you believe in God and Jesus or whatever you follow, Allah, if you have those beliefs, you're everything's under God. Alhamdulillah, But when you dabble in all these things, you're like, okay, well, I'm changing the energy. But then it's no longer, it's under God. Now you're changing things. You know what I mean? And so it's both. And so where I come from, there's many instances of people doing all sorts of spells, right? And when you live a life, like, you know, when you're 20 years old and you're like, I just want him to love me back, you don't see the big picture. You don't see your whole life. You don't know where you're going to end up. You don't know the type of people that you're going to come into, right? When you have situations that you're trying to control, that's all that it is. It's needing to control. We want to control our destiny. We want to control the people that are in our life. We want to control the outcomes. And that is where things get dangerous, because you don't know what you're controlling. And at the end of the day, whatever God you believe in, you're not him or her or it or whatever. You're not. And you can't be God in your own life either, because there's situations that are out of control, out of your control, and as they should be. We're too small in this universe. We're too small to think that we could possibly know everything without seeing the bigger picture. You don't know, like, from a bird's eye view somewhere, there's somebody who sees your life and you're like, but they don't know what's coming for them, but they're over here stuck, you know? And that happens to all, like, trust me, that's me 100%. You don't know the amount of times that I've gone into rabbit holes of like, I just want this person. Why can't they just change? And you just wait and you do all these. I mean, I didn't do anything, but like some people put like spells on people. And I'm just like, when you start doing those things work. I'm not going to say they don't. I don't know, but I've seen it happen. But the same way that they work, they also unwork. And do you really want to be with a person that isn't genuine, that you know you altered them? I think that's very dangerous. And I've seen it happen to people. And at some point, it really, it causes a lot of unnecessary situations, feelings, emotions, pain. I don't get down with that. Do you? But just pray for the people. You want to do spells? It's called prayer and gratitude. Okay? Because when you are giving a prayer, a dua to somebody, you're praying for them, but for their best interest. Don't do it for them to show up for you. Pray for them to reach a point of peace. Pray for them to be happy. Pray for them to be healthy. Pray for them to receive from life what is meant for them, the best things in life. And if that happens to be you, then it will be you. But don't attach an outcome to a person, because you don't even know. The same people that you're praying for to come into your life right now, the same people that you're trying to grab at, like, I've been there. Those are the same people that you want to have nothing to do with 5 years later, 10 years later, because nothing changed. You're trying to grab onto people who aren't showing up for you. You're trying to find answers about people who aren't showing up for you. You're trying to find conclusions and clarity about people who aren't giving you the clarity. I've been there. Those are the same exact people that you need to let go of. And if they come back in the right way, then you could keep them. That's why I believe in the connection. Sometimes you could let that person go and you could have a beautiful life. I said that in my other video. You could have a beautiful life with them later. It doesn't have to be right now. We need to have patience. And you have to just let it be. You know what helps me? This is Palo Santo. Rituals. I don't mean witchcraft. Trust me, I've never done it myself. Because I don't believe that it's for the greater good. I don't like when you try to play God. But rituals is something that helps you get in tune with yourself. It could be anything. For me, it's Palo Santo. It's lighting a beautiful candle. Like I said, sometimes I do cards for myself, but not for an outcome. Sometimes it's just relaxing. It's relaxing. It's whatever relaxes you. Sometimes it's extra sleep. Sometimes it's yoga. Sometimes it's meditation. Sometimes it's going and take a walk in a park, by the beach, whatever it is that you're doing. Do something that gives you peace and clarity, and find that clarity within yourself and let it go. Let it go. Because when we do these readings, when we go down the rabbit hole of listening to what other people say, what they're saying could be true. You could hear your exact, like, I'm seeing somebody who's wearing this or drinking this, and yeah, that part could be true. They could be actually picking up on your energy. I'm not gonna lie. This is 100% real. But what comes later, like what's gonna happen next? Trust me, there's been times that I've been waiting for next for a year, 2 years. You can't allow yourself to dwell in that. You can't. You cannot. You have to move on. Move on. Find it, because trust me, as soon as you move out of that situation and you find a new situation, you'll connect to all the other ones that have that situation. It's energy that gets picked up out of the universe, and they 100% do pick it up. I believe in the channels. I believe in the beautiful readers. I believe in everything that they're doing. You just have to use real discernment and like really use it, okay? Don't sit there listening to 5 different readers until you hear what you want. Because as soon as you hear what you want, you will automatically attach that outcome to yourself. But again, I'm telling you 100%, the same people you want, you try to keep in your life, unless they come back correct, you're going to be trying to get rid of them. You will. And then you'll be listening to readings about you just ended a cycle. Like 100%. 100%. We don't get to see our entire life before we live it. Or maybe we do beforehand, but as soon as we were born, we forget. However it works, right? And so find joy and find peace and find gratitude in every single day that you live, in every single person that you meet, in every connection that you get to reconnect with and find beauty in. But allow them to go down the way that they are, and allow yourself to have the expectation to be treated in a specific way, that you feel loved, that you feel cared for, and that you don't have to go to third parties to find out what's going to happen. Because at the end of the day, whatever they say, it could be true. It could be true right at that second. And then something happens, and then it's no longer true. And then you're waiting. If they tell you you're going to meet this person, you walk by 10 people that you could have had a beautiful life with, waiting for that one person, and that one person comes, and you're like, that's everybody, that's everything that they ever said it was. But like, I don't even like them. That's also possible. You can't hold other people accountable for your life. You can't hold people accountable for your future. And I see all these people, like, and other people's, the beautiful readers that do all this work, they put in so much energy to try to help. But they can't really help you. They're channels. And I don't mean like YouTube channels. They're channels of energy. They can't be held responsible for what it is that they channel, okay? They channel part of yours and part of someone else's, because they can't discern that. They have no way of knowing what pertains to you and what pertains to another person. Also, readers who do readings live or online or in a chat or whatever, like, they're addicting, okay? And yeah, sometimes you need it just as like a as a quick thing, but some of us have addictive personalities, and we go down a rabbit hole of money and of everything. Like, what's gonna happen? How should I be going about this? And it's just, I've seen it happen to me. I've seen it happen to family members. I've seen it happen to all sorts of things, all sorts of people. And it's a constant fight. When they tell you what you don't want to hear, you don't want to follow it. You're like, I'm gonna just go that way. But if they tell you what you want to hear, you're like, oh, I'm gonna wait. Either way, you lose. Either you spend time waiting and missing out on beautiful opportunities that you could have taken advantage of and changed the entire course of your life, or you're trying to fight something that clearly, at the moment, is not working. It could work later. It could work later. But yeah. And again, it's about interference in your energy, which is 100% real. Energy is real. Tarot cards are real. Psychics are real. Everyone's real. But they're channels. You can't hold them responsible for your fate. You are responsible for your fate. And you don't know what's going to happen to you. And they could only know maybe one of the options of how things are going to go for you. And you can't hold people responsible. I see people all the time in the comments, this didn't happen. Okay, how is that their fault? They're not God. They're not God. They're just using different mediums and different ways to tell you what's going to happen. They could see connections that you have with a person, right? But they ultimately tell you, like, okay, you have this strong connection, but the person ain't showing up. You have to do you. You can't sit there and wait for somebody who isn't showing up. You could be the love of their life. You know what I mean? But like the person who loves you, who's love of your life, they could be a meth addict. Like, because they love you so much, you have to go down that path with them? No, you don't. You don't. And that's how you have to look at it. Like, you're responsible for your well-being. You're responsible. Don't hold anyone else accountable. Don't hold readers accountable, psychics accountable, therapists accountable, psychiatric help accountable. You have to work on yourself. You have to hit the gym. You have to take a cold shower. You have to do your rituals to relax yourself. You have to do your meditation. You have to cook your meals. You have to do all these things for yourself. You cannot rely on another person's energy to interfere with yours in order to help you. Yes, there are healers. I'm one of them. I feel things. If I see you, I could tell you things about you that you probably already know. Okay, so what's the purpose of that? I don't know what's going to happen to you. I could have a dream. I could have a dream that is prophetic. I still wouldn't know 100% what that applies to. I can't change anything. Some of us are channelers of energy, of things. You can't, and it's actually not very I don't enjoy it, because God knows what the hell's going to show up, you know. And sometimes it's cruel what shows up to a person like me, because I can't do anything. I don't know. I can't change anything, you know. And also, how do you know what's real and what isn't? That's the whole point of it. And so that's why everyone has to have their own sense of self, their own sense of what's okay and right for you and what isn't. And you know this, because if you have to go asking cards about how a situation is going, if you have to go to cards because you feel some type of way and you're getting an intuition that something isn't going right or somebody isn't telling you the truth or whatever, trust that feeling and do with it what you will. But when you go to another person to interfere in that sense, what they're telling you, even though they might not be lying, you still can't hold them accountable. They could be feeling energy from across the street. Someone's going through something over there. You know what I mean? But they're applying it to you because you're the one asking. We can't always control things like that. You know, and I'm not a psychic person. I don't know what being psychic is like. So, I mean, I'm sure there are psychics that are crazy, out of this world. Accurate and on point. I'm not one of them, so I don't know. But again, I've seen it happen. people telling someone something, and they start to believe that, and they go that route, and they end up there, and they're like, I don't even want to be here. But they made specific choices to make this happen. Not only because somebody told them, but because somebody told them, they were like, okay, then I got to do that because that's what's going to happen. I knew it, that's what's going to happen. But you start believing in that path. But you could have had 1,000 other paths, you know? You could have turned left 5 times. That's probably a couple circles. But I mean, like, you could have made a left when you made a right. And you made a right because somebody told you were going to make a right. So you make a right. But you could have made a left. And what would happen if you make a left? We don't know. We don't know. Don't put yourself in a place of pain because of somebody's lack of clarity for you. I feel like I'm going on over like crazy. And there'll be videos where I truly feel energy and I'll pop on because sometimes I feel very overwhelming energy and I don't know where it's that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't know where it's coming from. There's times where I get like almost like itchy, like an itch that you can't scratch. Like I feel so uncomfortable. I feel somebody's energy, something in me. I'm starting to feel it now. That I can't explain and I don't know who it is. And so I'll try to make videos when I feel that because maybe somebody's feeling that and maybe that's what I'm feeling. But that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't know where it's coming from. But you have to feel yourself. I hope that you have a wonderful, beautiful day. And I hope that this helped you out a little bit. Okay, bye.